But
Great.
I think we're live. I think it's saying live. So I
It
think
is
we're
going
actually
live.
live. It
Hi,
is
everyone. We're
does
live.
it usually goes into the green room, and today I'm not sure what's going on. It's not actually, it didn't put us into a green room. It's just like, let's go live, and we're 10 minutes early. So
Great. Well, let's just do 30 minutes still, though, if you don't
yeah.
mind.
Yeah, yeah, no,
You
no, no.
want you want to
It,
lead everything?
I don't
You
know.
want me to?
We'll see how it
Okay.
goes. I think this is a very interesting thing because I think that the whole how to sell as a creative has been a big, huge oof elephant on my chest for the last, I don't know, 5 years maybe.
Hmm.
Because I think there's so many misconceptions, first of all, that people come in with as creatives about how much time we spend creating versus how much time we spend selling, or how do we get money in exchange for our creations.
Hmm.
So I think that was kind of one of the things that I wanted to address, and then I feel like this is a multi-parter. I feel like today's part one
Okay.
of this discussion, because I really don't think that in 30 minutes we're going to be able to cover everything that there is to cover about this topic. So
Yeah.
how are you feeling? What do you want to talk
Yeah.
about today?
That sounds good. Well, I think, I always like to start by introducing ourselves. And I think we might want to answer the question, what is Creative Entrepreneur Incubator? What are we about? What do we intend to be about here? And have been doing actually for pretty much the last year.
Yep.
As both of us also run other businesses helping writers, we have started running trainings and offers for other creative writers like ourselves, fiction writers, who want to start their own businesses. And so I just want to introduce myself to everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Barany, and I am a creative entrepreneur and a creative entrepreneur coach and trainer. And I love, love, love helping other people get their creative businesses up and running. And we're starting out in our business helping other creative writers who want to monetize their expertise in some way. Maybe like us as a writing teacher or a coach or a consultant or a strategist, maybe some other way, which is really awesome. So, Gala, do you want to introduce yourself in this context?
Yeah, I haven't come up with an introduction for myself for this particular context yet. Usually I say I am a writing coach, an educator, and an author, and I'm all of those things too. But as you mentioned, this is kind of like the next level of things. I always this is has nothing to do with the introduction. This is my brain went when I was teaching English as a second language and teaching foreign languages. I started as the teacher, right? So first of all, I started as a student. I was learning languages, and then I became the teacher. So I was teaching others whatever languages that they wanted to learn that I knew, and then my career progressed to where I became an instructional supervisor, which basically meant that I will train other teachers on how to teach. And then I would go and I will help them. I will go to their classrooms. I will observe. I will help them with lesson planning or whatever kind of questions they have. If they have a particularly challenging student or group that they couldn't quite move the way that they were hoping to move in the program. And I'm relating that to what we're doing here. Was a first writer, right? I was learning how to do it, all of those things. Then I became the um, helper of writers. I'm teaching writers what they need to know. And this is the next iteration of, okay, well, if you want to become that helper of writers in so many different forms, it doesn't have to be the writing itself. It could be marketing, it could be videography, it could be production, it could be illustration. There's so many different ways to help other writers. Then I have learned enough in this business with your help that I can help people who are either considering doing it or are already doing it. So I can help train people who are considering to be the helpers of writers, or if they're already in the thick of it and they're struggling and something is not working the way they were expecting it to do. I can come in and see what their business is and isn't doing and help them. So that's where my brain went. This is not a good explanation. This is not a brief explanation. I will have to work on how to actually make it a sound bite in the
Yeah,
future. So we'll get there.
absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the skill sets that we all learn as we go into business. It didn't come easily to me to put what I do in 30 seconds or 60 seconds. So suffice it to say that at Creative Entrepreneur Incubator, we're both trainers. We create content and we do trainings to help people. And we work in small, intimate groups. And we'll be having a live training in later this year. So people can stay tuned for that. And in terms of, I know our topic today is how do we sell, how to sell as a creative. And something that both you and I are about is we want to work with people who know, like, and trust us. So we spend a lot of time in conversations with people. And that is actually one of the ways, actually is one of the primary ways that you sell high ticket items or even mid-level priced items. But also relationships is relationship building. And relationship building is people get to know you and then they pass your information along, your name along. And that's how we've grown. I mean, we had, how many students did we have last fall in our training program, in our apprenticeship? 4. We had 4 students. And that came through our writing teacher network and through the network that I had also already of people that I knew. So we filled, our beta program, and that was amazing, and then we had people come to our summit. How did we do that? Well, we marketed to our existing list, so that's nice. We were lucky that way. And I know over at the on the other Substack, we talk about a lot of things for writers, like how do you find readers from the beginning, from zero? Well, here we're an example of how do we grow a business from zero, through relationships, through the people we already know, through conversation, through asking, can I have a conversation with you about this? And I've actually been informally coaching colleagues, and also had a previous apprentice before you and I met. I was actually helping a young 20-something who had just got out of college, and I was teaching him how to be my assistant, but also how to be independent, like an independent contractor, a freelancer, which to me is starting a business. That's a business.
Yeah.
So yeah. And, teaching him things like, how do you ask for the sale? How do you write a contract? How do you price yourself? Right? These are all questions that you've had. So part of learning how to sell as a creative is really maybe doing what you're already doing, having good conversations with good people because you're interested in talking to them. You're curious. You and I are very relational. And I think that's a foundational piece of Creative Entrepreneur Incubator is we're both relational. We like conversations, and we're genuinely interested and curious about others because we see the gem in them. We see their uniqueness. We see their gifts. We see their excitement, their passion, and we want to stoke that. And that's our we're both natural teachers. We want to oh, you have an idea? Oh, cool. I know how to help that become a thing if you want. Yeah. So we both have this can-do attitude. We both have a curiosity, and those two things right there help us get into conversation with people. And I think if you're going to be in business, you need to be able to do that in a way that works for you. Everyone has their own style. You can't be a writer in their cave and be a creative entrepreneur in the way we're talking about. I mean, you are actually, because, oh, here comes the sun, because you're selling your work, but that's not our scope here today. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming Substack for authors specifically, how do complete introverts sell. But I guess we're kind of assuming that if you want to be a creative entrepreneur, that you like to talk to people and you like to hold a mic, a reel, or sitting at your computer or going out in the world, or preferably both. Yeah, or making.
Yeah, I'm actually following a person who is specifically doing like how to be an entrepreneur if you're an introvert. So I am certain that introverts can also be entrepreneurs. I'm I think that there are so many different ways to engage with the audience. And I think that like one of the ways we do it a lot is through newsletter and through Substack, right? And you don't actually have to have the videos there. We're comfortable with videos. It's something that is comfortable and interesting for us to do. But if you are not, or that's not interesting, Substack is a great place because that's basically a blog, right? If you like
Yeah.
writing and you want to create content that people are going to be reading, that is long form blog type content,
Yeah.
excellent. There is a space for that. There are so many different ways, and I think like that is a how sort of, if I were to start from the beginning of how to sell things to people, I would say that the first question is to figure out the what, and I
What you're
think
going to
part of
sell.
the what. Mm?
What you're going to sell.
What is it that you're going to sell? And I think part of that, that's why we did the boot camp on the niche, right?
Mhm.
It is not about finding a niche, it's finding your creative entrepreneur statement, right? It's finding your creative entrepreneur. What can you do? What are you excited about doing? What can you see yourself doing year in and year out, or at least month in and month out for a
Mm,
while, and kind of stumble through mistakes and have ups and downs and still keep pursuing it? Finding
mm,
that what, to
mm.
me, is kind of like the first
The service,
step, the
the offer.
service, the
Mhm.
product, the whatever.
Offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. I don't know about you, but when I first started my business 20 years ago, I went into City Hall here in Oakland and I had to decide what category my business was in to get the
Hmm.
license. And I remember looking, and I'm like, there's nothing. I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And that's what I had told my employer. I'm like, I want to be a teacher. She's like, sorry, you can't be a teacher in this business. I'm like, well, I got to go then, you know? So I guess I started with, I want to be a teacher. And I also knew coach. I was in creativity coaching training, but none of coaching or teaching wasn't on the official list. The closest thing was consulting. So I'm like, good enough. Under the umbrella of consulting, I could totally fit coaching and teaching. So I guess I started my business with that in broad idea, and also knowing I'm a teachers teach classes. Let me offer a class. So that was the first offer. And I think you too, I mean, when you came to me and you said, hey, I want to do what you do, I want to be a book coach, you already knew coaching. You may not have known the specifics. So I guess I'm wondering, when people start out, are they attracted to a specific kind of thing? They're like, oh, I like helping people one-on-one and in that intimate space, like a coach. I think I'm a coach. Or I like classroom stuff. Let me add it, teacher or facilitator or trainer. Or some people are like, let me just, well, I've done this over there. Like we had a student who did one-on-one high-end college admissions coaching. But she's like, but I don't want to do that anymore. That was then, this is now. And so she's still been in an exploration of all the different ways that she can offer support. And her easy path is one-on-one coaching in a different domain though, right? So we
Hmm.
watched her go slip right into one-on-one coaching. She already did one-on-one coaching in her other life. Now one-on-one coaching over here, like voice and talent and podcasting and that kind of thing, using her
And
actress
she's
voice.
an actress too. That's
Yeah.
why the podcasting and being on camera is a next in a kind of extension. And that's again what we teach in the creative, like the creative branding, creative entrepreneur. Like who are you? Figuring out. And I don't want to also say, if it sounds like, oh, you're going to sit down and it's just kind of like a decision. It is a decision, but it is a decision based on your previous life
Your previous
and
life.
your
Yeah.
future aspirations. Like, I've done all of these things in the past.
Yeah.
These things worked. These things didn't. I like this, and it's important to know what you liked, and it's important to know what you didn't like. Right? It's
Absolutely.
very, very important.
Yes.
And then you're like, well, in the future, what kind of life? What kind of relationships with other humans do I want to have? And
Mhm.
those two together, the past and the future desires, will start informing you. And I don't think that either you or I started doing the thing right away, but it was the thing adjacent. And then you kind of like figure
Right.
you do something, you take that first step, you do it, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that and that and that is working here, but this I do not like. So let me try something else. Let me try something else. Like I
Mhm.
tried doing line editing, and I'm like, I am very good at it. I absolutely will not do it again. It just does not bode well. Like it's just, it's not
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Developmental editing, yes. Line editing, it's just not for me. I get so engrossed in that story, and I spend in so much time on it that there is absolutely no way I can charge for it appropriately. If that makes sense, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
market
So,
is not going to be
yeah,
able to support the price
totally.
that I will need to charge for the amount of time I end up spending on line edits.
At
So
least right
that's,
now. I mean, there's a future
yeah,
possibility where people are willing to pay that price that you want to
yeah,
charge. You're just
yeah,
assuming that right now that's not the case. I just want
yeah.
to say a shout out to Sophia Chang, who's also here on Substack and who we were just referring to. And I want to say hello to Amy, who's just joined us. Hi, Amy.
Wow.
Amy's got a podcast of her own. Go ahead and drop the link in the chat if you want, Amy, although it's just us three right now. We're talking creative entrepreneurship, and we're talking specifically how do you sell? And our main point so far is relationships. In fact, I found Amy on Substack and she was asking for guests on our podcast. And so I reached out and we had a great conversation. So part of developing relationships is saying, hey, who I have a podcast, come talk to me. Or I, like you've been offering, 15-minute consultations as a writing coach,
Yeah.
come talk to me. Or both of us were just in Daniel's Develop Your Premise Summit. That is just in a 1-day replay today. And
Yeah.
we got to talk to hundreds of people, right? And develop new relationships. And people got to see our teaching style. So that's selling. And then now we're in Monica Leonel's Expand Summit, and people will see us again. The creative entrepreneurs will get to, I'll talk on sales, you're talking on repurposing your products, right? These are opportunities for people to get to know us. There's 3 elements: know, like, and trust. They get to know us, they decide if they like us, and if they want, if they'll decide if they trust us. And
Yeah.
people trust you sometimes right away, sometimes through conversation, sometimes through encountering you through social media, reading your stuff, going to one of your classes,
Mhm.
having a consultation. So really in business, it's about know, like, and trust. That's kind of it. And relationships. That's it. And then being prepared to have a sales conversation, which is
Mhm.
what my training was all about. How do you actually do the sales training? So, right. And you've been taking a training in sales as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
How,
that's why today's conversation felt like so like the a good juicy
yeah.
topic, because I feel like I've been marinating in the sales um conversation until at least for myself internally in my business. Yes, I'm almost done with my sales training, and the if I were to summarize it, it is figure out what is it that you want to sell so that you have the vocabulary to talk about it. So when people are asking you, you have the vocabulary, you have the pricing. Then go out and have leads. Figure out how can people find you. And leads is create opportunities for people to find you.
Right.
That's how I
Yeah.
see it right now. Create opportunities for people to find you. Because when you
Okay.
say leads, I always feel like, salesy, like, well, leads, you generate leads. I do not know. Somehow in my brain that
Yeah.
there is a negative word that's a negative
Mhm.
word. But I think if you framing it as how do you create opportunities for people to find you,
Yeah.
that is a very normal human,
Yeah.
very comfortable feeling situation, right? And then when people do find you, this is what you're talking about it. How do you build a relationship? How do you create conversations? How do you show people what you do so that people can decide, oh yeah, this is the kind of person that I like, or yeah, that's not the kind of person that I like. I was talking about somatics in my last writing class with my students, and I'm like, I don't know, guys, whether you're into it or not. When we're
Yeah.
gonna do this like somatic exploration, because they are all burned out and they're really resistant in their books and things like that. And I have done somatics for a while now, and I know it's a good exercise to kind of interrogate your internal thing. And I mean, in the future, one of them might say, that was too weird. I don't think that I'm going to do another class with her because that like
Yeah.
spooked me off. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I hope that for the people who are the right people to work with me, they will be like, ooh, that was interesting. I may have never done that before, but that was interesting. I kind of like want to keep doing that. So you
Mhm.
create those relationships and you repel the people that you need to repel.
Yeah.
That's important.
Mhm.
And then you're going to attract the people who you want to attract. So then at some point when you get to the sales part, again, that's what you are always teaching me. The
Mhm.
sales is not a sales pitch, it is a sales conversation.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and I
And
see that Amy is asking us questions there.
yeah, and just want to say Amy's giving us a plug, so check out her Spotify link. Also, the name of her podcast is Neurodivergent Writers Podcast. And yes, we are taking questions. Amy, please ask your question in the chat about summits. This is our very first Substack Live for Creative Entrepreneur Incubator. That's why we have a small group today, which is totally fine. Here's the other
Gonna
thing.
grow.
Yeah, we
We
are
know.
generating content, obviously, that will be found later on, and we're making an
Phyllis is
opportunity.
here.
Yeah. Hi, Phyllis. We're making an opportunity right here. We're demonstrating, showing up, having a conversation, being ourselves, and inviting people into the conversation. And it's like we have a little, we're sitting around in the salon or in the living room having a chat. Well, this is a way for people to get to know us. And so, and then now jumping over to summits, please, let's see. Yes. And now, Phyllis, you have your writing hat on. So many of these elements port over to creating a fandom writing style. Absolutely. Which is something we're going to be talking about, something I'm actually in the middle of building myself in a very intentional way. So yeah, same thing with being a fiction writer, right? We want to give people a chance to know us. Do they like us? They download a sample, they get a freebie. And then if our writing is good, now we've developed trust. Like, oh, that person can write and I like their story. Let me buy the next book. Great. Here's Amy's question. I usually find out about most summits, especially writer related, after the fact as an audience member. My question is, how can I find out about speaking opportunities? I'm in some biz collabs as those seem easier to find. Absolutely. So Amy, we want to introduce you to a group we know about, Writers Serving Writers, which is a collaborative group.
Like a
And actually,
mastermind.
yeah, and they do a monthly mastermind and it's all free. What you're talking about is the same thing that we're wishing we had. And so we might be supporting something around these lines where we get the word out to other people where they can speak as a writing professional. And we hear them through the grapevine too. Like, I just happened to be on Monica's list and saw her summits and asked to be a speaker. I am on Daniel's list. And actually, I didn't see it because I'm so busy. So it was Gala who sent me the speaker and how to get in front of him. And so one of the things that you can do, Amy, even though it's after the fact, is you can go and write those people and say, hey, I want to be
Yep.
in your summit next year. How do I
Yep.
get on your speaker list? So that's one way to
Absolutely.
do it. There is no database, unfortunately, at this point, but this is something that we might build
We're
or
starting to build it a little bit for the writers serve writers. I think that's a thing that I abandoned, but I need to get back to. I'm also going to email you right now, Beth, and if you can
yeah.
put it in the chat, a link where Daniel collects proposals for future summits. He
Oh,
actually, on
that's
his
great.
summit in the bottom right corner, has, if you want to present in the future summits, there is a form you can submit,
Yep. That's
so
great.
you can at least do that. His next summit is going to be in October, and it's his yearly. He's been running it for like, I want to say 6+ years
Yeah.
straight. It's plot forest, I think,
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Great.
very
So
much
I'll
writing
link to
related.
that. So that's at this point, Amy, I would recommend that you be proactive and get on people's lists for things after the fact. And then we know, and you might have seen Rhonda Douglas does a summit.
Mhm.
Last year, was it Sage is her name? No, Sloan. Sloan did a summit. And partly the way we found a lot of these is because of the network of writers serving writers. So, Amy, go ahead and write us. And okay, here we go. This is great because I need to do that as well. Good question. So right now, the short answer is use your network. Use us,
But
hit us up. Maybe this is something we talk about in our Creative Entrepreneur on a regular basis. If you hear of things, pass the word along. Maybe we can have a
and a lot
thread.
of it was like that, like
Yeah.
in the Writers of Writer Discord. There
Mhm.
was the Pro Writing Aid camp that is happening right now, and people sent us a message that, "Hey guys, they're looking for people if you want to go do that." Or there was another one last year that I did was like disenfranchised writers. There was also one of the people who is in the group is part of the other group. They said, "Okay, we're looking for it." So most of the time, it is that kind of somebody hears something. And although some of the summits are every year, I would say vast majority of them are not. Vast majority of them
Right.
happen. Maybe the same person always does summits, but it's not always at the same time, because Rhonda's last year was in November, and this time she did it in at the very end of June. So and the topic might be different. The one that I know that also runs all the time, but it's hard to get into, is more like of the conference Inkers Con. Technically, it's on the online summit, but I think it always has the in-person thing now as well to check out. So it's a little bit of a whack-a-mole, is what I'm trying to say. It's not like that everybody always does this one thing at this time and you can just go clockwise and every year sign up for one. You kind of have to reinvent and go back and ask everybody all over again every year, who is doing what, when are you doing it, how do you
Mhm.
line up. So for example, we signed up for two summits in a row. One just ended, the next one started. I am not going to do that again next time. I
Yeah.
totally underestimated how much time it takes to do two summits in a row. As a presenter, it's a lot of work. So like, you learn things. Was
Yeah.
there Phyllis is asking us something?
Let's see. Sorry, I was looking at Up Inger's Gone. Let's see.
Oh,
Okay, Amy says she's on that Discord. Phyllis says, if you are into writing speculative fiction, you can apply to be on panels at major science fiction conventions, which usually have strong writing tracks. I'll be on a couple of virtual panels on pantsing at Worldcon next month. How exciting, Phyllis. That is so great. I'm really glad. Yes, I've
I
done in
would love if
person.
you send us the links to that too, because I feel like we're just gonna have to start. I'm wondering if we can ask Iman to help us, like start some kind of a database of, at least in the past, these were the ones. So in the future, you can kind of
Mhm.
like go to the past events and like contact people and see what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I know, this might be something you and I also share out into the world. We'll see. It would be better if we had delegated that to someone else. Let's see.
Yeah.
Amy says,
Yeah.
passing things along, the only one I knew about this year was the Contemporary Romance Writers Conference. And I spoke this year and so check them out too. That's
And
great.
we didn't know about, I don't know about them. I would love to know
Yeah.
about them. So you see if we do the resource. Yeah.
Maybe we can share resources. Maybe we can have a weekly thread. Maybe someone can help us organize this. Nudge, nudge, wink,
Yeah.
wink, Amy. Or
Anybody wants to take
you
this
want to take
on?
this on? We should not take this on. I cannot. I was just noticing this morning how many things I'm doing that I'm getting kind of frustrated because I'm really not giving myself the deep dive time I need to work on certain projects. So it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be you, Amy. No pressure, really. But this is a great question. This is a need. This is a need in the marketplace, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
work
yeah. That's just
through,
how we find out. Like
yeah,
clearly it is a need. And what I wanted to say about the Creative Entrepreneur Incubator. So Beth and I started, it was a Beth kind of baby idea, and then she involved me in it, yeah, last year. And then as we're progressing, we are bringing people in. Now we have a team of four. We have Iman on board. We have Thayer on board. So I think that your vision, and at least my vision of your vision, is that this is a collective. This is going to be not one person is running this thing. This is a collective effort where and I think this is what I like about the Writers Help Writers Mastermind, is that we all have our hands in different buckets and we have strengths that are divergent, right? And
yeah,
it's so nice to be able to mine that and have each person do what they're really good at, rather than trying to have everything done.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And so I'm many things, including I like starting projects and then bringing teams in to help run them. And that is really a producer's role, which I learned by making a short film. And I want to do more in that arena. And I have big projects there,
Yep.
or big plans there. And I'm really owning being a producer. So I really want to delegate. I'm like, who can I delegate this to? So I just put in the chat directory.loripuma.com, which is a wonderful directory. And you can also be a member and put your stuff in here. But right now it doesn't have summits. It has services and everything. And it's for writers, but it's also for us service providers to showcase our work or have a listing. It's a free listing site. And thanks, Phyllis, for letting us know. RWA is going to be in Portland, Oregon next year. Well, that's easy to get to. And word is that the conference just concluded was a good one. Yes, I know someone who went there and she said it was fabulous. So yeah, that is a place I've spoken there. In fact, my very first speaking engagement, even before I officially started my business, was at the New England Romance Writers of America. And then the following year, or maybe 2 years later, when my business was official, I spoke at the Washington, D.C. National Conference with my Writer's Adventure Guide material. I actually hustled to have the book done. It was a workshop, and then it was a presentation, and then it was a book. And yeah, so that's definitely a place to apply to speak. And I've also done the Seattle conference, Emerald City, twice as well. So
Yeah.
it's not, and I've done a lot of conferences. So you could look in your regional area too, if you want to do in-person live. San Francisco has a writers conference. I've spoken there several times. Also, if you network in your local area, I know in California, we have the California Writers Clubs, and there's a lot of knowledge there. And that's how I found out and connected to the San Francisco Writers Conference. Anyway, so that's just, it all comes down to relationships, everyone. Who do you know?
And it's a lot of time. It does take a lot of time to research it. I equate it a little bit to if you have been ever in the trenches for the traditional publishing, right? If you want to find an agent, you're gonna go and you're gonna look at who are all of those agents and who represents the genre that you want. Then you're gonna go and look and like, oh, does this person actually is a person who I like? So it's not like here is the list. Some of these things might not work for you. Some of these things might work for you, right? Like there is definitely a bit of work involved. And I think as a creative entrepreneur, there is this how can I create opportunities for other people to find me bucket that you have to set a time on your calendar to spend time on.
Yes.
And then how do I have sales conversation? You have to set time on your calendar to do that. Like if you don't actively set time on your calendar to do it, sometimes opportunities do come knocking, but I wouldn't recommend building a business relying on that, at least not when you're starting. It is specifically setting time on your calendar, sitting down and doing that kind of outreach, right? This is outreach. This is telling people, hey, I exist. I would love to speak on your platform. And then we can go also into like podcasts as another thing, or Beth and I do lives, or like there's so many other opportunities to show up and borrow other people's audiences. That's what you're doing. You're borrowing other people's audiences, trying to appeal to them and convert them so that they become your audience now, those who resonated with your message and with whatever you're offering.
Yeah, that's great. I think we can conclude here. We've done like 34 minutes. Let's let people know 2 actions you can take to stay in touch with us. 1, subscribe to our Substack. So we're going to be doing weekly lives. This might be our regular time slot. We haven't discussed it yet. But I definitely want to do it regularly. And then also, if you would like to get on our list, you can take our quiz. It's a really fun creative business style quiz that Gala created. It really helps to kind of showcase how do you approach your business and being in business. And I think it's very enlightening and kind of validating. And then from there, we might do some lives at some point where we discuss the 4 types that Gala's created, which is really fun. It's like, what do you do if you're this type, and how do you approach your business? So that's for another time, little teaser. Yeah.
We're putting together, well, it's almost done. We're asking for beta testers of the test of the quiz. We have the new version, the kind of more in-depth version that is technically all done. I need to reach out to people and make sure that I didn't miss anything, that the testing is done, and then we'll see. And this is, I think, one of the other things that I like about this project, this creative entrepreneur incubator, is that we are taking our time in using our own advice and making this an iterative approach where we're doing one thing and then the other thing and then kind of like snowballing it rather than trying to like, oh, we're opening the doors and all of the floors are renovated and everything is built. No, we're like, okay, right, today it's a 2-room, like it's a 1-room enterprise. Now it's a 2-room enterprise. And as we grow, you're kind of part of our growth too, which, I think it's
Yeah,
lovely. It's
I think
just,
it's great. Yeah. Yeah. And we are going to do a lot of great things coming up. So stay tuned, subscribe to our Substack, or take the quiz to get on that list, and you will hear more. And join Monica's event, Monica Leonel.
yeah.
And yeah. And do you have that link handy? Let me see if I can grab it real quick.
I can email it to you if you want me to.
No, I got it. I got it because I
Got it?
sent out, I prepped an email that went out today. Let's see. So this is going to be my affiliate link for the Expand Summit that starts today. So I believe she has a free tier, and then she has
Yeah.
a paid tier where you get to, listen to everything for ever. Let's see. Is that it?
And we're
No.
both presenting this Thursday, which is tomorrow.
Oh my
And
goodness.
your
Oh,
talk is at when, noon Pacific?
noon Pacific. Yeah. So here's my
And
calendar.
mine is at 1:30 Pacific.
Okay. And we may or may not live chat it because she's like, you can do it if you want.
I'm planning on live chatting because I
Me too.
enjoy that.
Oh, okay.
I think that just makes
Yeah.
me happy to
Yeah.
see that what I've spent, and on this one I've spent like days. Anyways,
Hmm.
I really want to see what resonated, what didn't, what questions do
Yeah.
people have, so that as I iterated on it for the future, I can make changes. So I'm
Yeah.
going to be there live. I've
That's
decided.
great. Yeah, me too. Fabulous. Well, thank you everyone for showing up. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Phyllis. And we'll see you next time. Stay tuned for our next Substack Live. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing up with us live. The replay will go up soon. And yeah, thanks for all the hearts. And I guess that's
Thank
it. Have a
you.
great
Thank you
day.
so much.
You get to you get to kick us out, or I get to kick
Yeah,
us
I can do it. I can do it.
out. Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.